You are listening to the Recruiting Hawks podcast, part of the HawgBeat podcast network. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined by Alex Trader, recruiting analyst over at HawgBeat.com. We got a good episode for everybody today. Davion Dozier, Arkansas wide receiver commit in the 2023 class. He's going to join us, talk about what he likes about Arkansas, why he chose the Hogs, despite them being one of his last offers before he committed. And so good interview with him. We're going to talk about, the content we got going over at HawgBeat.com, where we think that this 2023 recruiting class for Arkansas will end up. We'll give you a quick little update on some baseball stuff as well. Alex Trader, not a whole lot going on since the last time we recorded, which is we've only had 2 episodes, but the 2 episodes that we recorded, there was a lot to talk about because there were multiple commits for each episode. So how does it feel to have a slow episode?
Yeah, I thought I'd be excited about it, but looking in now, I'm kind of struggling for content ideas. So it is nice to be able to kind of look at it and just take this class and see what's going on, and not necessarily have to worry about trying to fit new pieces in there the whole time. But this is about it for the 2023 class. So I'm very excited to see what 2024 is going to bring and who some of the guys that they're going to be coming in after that.
So if you look at the 2023 class, you mentioned it, there's not a whole lot left. And I feel like, if we're going to keep doing this podcast, at some point we got to move on to 2024. But we want to talk about this 2023 class and where we think it might end up being ranked, because, that's something that has been interesting for Arkansas, because, it feels like, even if they have a good class, good commits, they could end up being ranked at the kind of in the 20 to 25 range, which ends up being most of the time in the lower half of the SEC. And so right now they're second in the SEC, according to the Rivals rankings, right behind Tennessee. I'm assuming, and I feel like it's a safe assumption, that Arkansas is not going to stay at number 2 in the SEC. I feel like most of it is just because of the amount of commits that Arkansas has, correct?
With the Rivals rankings, they only factor in the first 20 or the top rated 20 commits. So there is some aspect of that where you don't have Alabama or Georgia right there ahead yet. Those guys are going to pass. You may be able to be in the mix for that 3rd, 4th, 5th class in the SEC. I'd say anything in the top half, especially after what you saw not last year even the year before. You went 3-7. There was positive momentum coming, but in that Chad Morris era, really being able to bounce back from that and be in the top half of the SEC is an incredible accomplishment and a great testament to what Sam Pittman is building with his staff and the guys he's able to recruit with.
And you'll hear more about this from Davion Dozier later on the episode, but it's not just Sam Pittman. Like, it's this staff that he's built around him that is helping with recruiting as well. I feel like he's bringing in dudes that he trusts to go and get good guys, but also he trusts them to go and build relationships, because, we talked with some guys, and it seems like Dominic Bowman, they're in the secondary. They brought in some talented recruits, and I feel like that's because he's been able to connect with them as a younger guy. Same with Kenny Guyton, wide receiver coach. Davion Dozier talked about that. Kenny Guyton is really the reason he committed to Arkansas. So if Pittman can keep those, the assistance that he has, that can really help. We know that Barry Odom and Kendall Briles, they're going to be head coaches at some point in the next few years. That's just a given. That's going to happen. But if you can keep a guy like Kenny Guyton, if you can keep a Cody Kennedy, a Dowell Loggins, like those, that can really help. I don't know how much or how possible it is to keep those guys, but do you see that if those guys stay on staff, that this can, trickle into the 2024 class, and maybe, Arkansas is at a good number right now as far as class ranking and, guys that they're bringing in, but 2024, they could do even better. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And especially if you're finishing this class so early. I mean, you've got a couple of guys with your eyes on, but you've got 23 commits at this point. You're really looking to maybe find those 1 or 2 more guys and wrap it up. So it'll be interesting to see who those guys are. But having such a head start on that 24 class, you already have a commitment in Braylon Russell, but having that head start allows you to be in on guys like, this staff is in on 2 of the top 3 players in Rivals, initial Rivals 250 rankings for that 24 class in Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo. That's not a coincidence. This staff is really pushing not just to be mediocre, but to be the very best on the trail. And you're seeing with that Dow Loggins class in 2023 that that's possible. It's just a matter of being able to get in, win on the field so that you can keep people coming, but then continue to sell the program and the culture that Arkansas is building.
So if you look at it right now, Alex, if you had to say where this class is going to end up, the 2023 class, you think they're going to have one more commitment and then they'll be done? Where do you think it's going to end up in the rivals rankings?
Yeah, this was actually the featured question in the HawgBeat town hall this week. And I really, it is my first full season covering recruiting rankings, so I don't have necessarily the totality of knowledge that some of the other guys may have. But if you're looking at it, this class, especially after a couple of ratings adjustments, should easily fall within the top 15 to 20. It stacks up on paper to potentially be Arkansas's best class since around 2009. And that's a big deal for this program, especially with you're seeing some winning on the field. If you're able to keep that coupled with bringing in elite guys, then you're going to become an elite program. That's just how college football works. So I think top 15 is easily attainable, especially if you're looking at some ratings boosts on guys. I mean, shoot, just even on the offense, you should see guys like Malachi Singleton, Davion Dozier, who you're going to hear from in a couple minutes, and then Isaiah Augustave just jumped up into the top 200 for another service. So he's rated as a 5.63 star on Rivals right now, but with a rankings update coming soon, it really wouldn't surprise me at all to see him, at least gain that 4th star, if not bump into that Rivals 250.
All right. As far as the coverage and the content that people can get from you, Alex, you're doing some good stuff. We just put out. This is a big deal, everybody. We just put out our rivals, our HawgBeat, the HawgBeat Big Board. We're calling it the Hog Board. So you got an offensive version and you got a defensive version for 2023. It includes the guys that they've targeted, the guys that they have committed, the total scholarship distribution for both sides. As far as current scholarships go, it's projected, it's not official. And then also, we're going to get the 2024 one out, but there's not a whole lot to add to those yet. So those will be coming later. But right now, you can go to HawgBeat.com with that subscription. You can get the Hog Board, look and see what Alex put together. You also got your town hall segment, Alex.
I do, and with that, you're going to be listening to this Wednesday. We're recording Monday, but you're listening Wednesday. You'll be able to ask questions if you're a subscriber. You'll be able to go into the thread on the trough, ask me any question you want about recruiting. I'll answer it. And then Thursday, we'll actually have a story body that goes up, and that'll include 3 free questions. So if you're not a subscriber, you're still able to kind of be able to be in on the fun, hear what's going on, and you'll be able to have access to about 3 free questions from the thread that week, and be able to kind of stay in the loop. And then maybe even, if you're enjoying what you're seeing and you have a question yourself, go ahead and subscribe. You're not going to find better coverage around. And I like to think that goes for recruiting. JC Hoops does a fantastic job with basketball. Mason doing a great job with football, baseball, Robert Stewart as well. So just really solid stuff going up at HawgBeat. So this town hall, I'm not going to say it's the reason you should subscribe, but it is, part of the reason that I think that HawgBeat is able to give you guys what you're wanting, because it allows for that interaction back and forth.
All right. Well, go subscribe. You're going to have some great content coming with the 2024 class. As we mentioned, you're kind of wrapping up 2023 stuff, not as much stuff that you can do there, but the hope is to have Alex traveling, covering some of these guys throughout the football season that are committed to Arkansas. We can hopefully bring you content of those guys. And then as well as, future guys, 2024 guys that we'll look at as well. But for that was the Recruiting Hawks podcast. We're going to talk to Davion Dozier, get you on your way. And don't forget, this is a weekly thing. Alex, we got to settle on a day that we're going to put this out every week. What are we thinking? Let's just do it for the people right now. You want to talk about it?
We can talk about it. Yeah. I think Wednesday is a good breakup point because, if you guys haven't been reading my recruiting roundup, it comes out every Friday currently. It basically is a snapshot of everything you may have missed over the past week in written form. There's little notes on each of the different subjects. So that will be moving to Monday once the season starts, once the high school season starts, just because it'll allow for more current update of what goes on in some of these games over the weekend. And then you're not necessarily trying to hear recruiting later on in the week when you've got the big games coming up. So I think Wednesday is a perfect kind of middle point. They call it hump day for a reason. It kind of gets you through that hump. And this podcast, is hopefully getting you guys through that midweek slump as well. So I think that makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
No, I agree. I was thinking Wednesday anyways. So let's, for now, as you're listening to this, Wednesday is going to be the day. So plan on it. Your Wednesdays, you're going to be listening to the Diamond Hawks, or not Diamond Hawks podcast, the Recruiting Hawks podcast. I've said Diamond Hawks podcast way too much, man. The Recruiting Hawks podcast, it'll be coming out on Wednesdays moving forward. But for today, we're done. Here's Davion Dozier. All right, we now welcome on Davion Dozier, receiver out of Moody, Alabama, just committed to the Hogs last week. Davion, first question for you, man. It seems like Arkansas is developing a pipeline to Alabama. What's that about, and what was interesting about Arkansas that made you want to commit to them?
The reason why I committed is because the Coach Guy, me and Coach Guy talked a lot, and he's a young coach, and he just got the job, and me and him were just alike in a lot of ways. So that's what made me push to Arkansas.
Arkansas was the latest of your top 5 to end up offering you. Was there any consideration of the timeliness, or what made you pick the Hogs, despite them kind of being late entrants into your recruitment?
No, it wasn't really late to me because I wasn't planning on making the decision no time soon. That one just crept up or the time frame crept up. I thought I was gonna commit during the season or like a little bit after, but I had broke down all my visits and stuff, and it made me want to commit earlier.
Had you had any previous ties or been to Arkansas before?
No, sir.
What'd you think of the unofficial visit you took last month?
I liked it a lot. We had did a whole bunch of stuff while I was there. I was out with the players a lot, and then they just gave me the rundown about it a lot of stuff.
So last season, of course, Treylon Burks with Arkansas had an incredible season. Were you able to watch any of him? And is that kind of, attractive to watch a guy like that do what he did at Arkansas, and maybe you can do that as well?
Yes, sir. The stuff, when I was with Coach Guy in the receiver room, we was talking about a lot of stuff and the way they run their offense and like around him. There's a lot of stuff that we do at our school. So it would be like a lot of the same stuff when I go to college.
I saw you had told one of the national guys that the staff said that you reminded them of Treylon Burks. What's that kind of compliment mean to you? And is that something you see yourself as, kind of a mold of Treylon Burks?
I mean, it meant a lot because, he was just a first-round pick in the top 15. But, I ain't done that yet, so I can't really say I'm like that or not.
So it seems like I kind of led off with this, but it seems like Arkansas has been able to recruit Alabama better as of late than they have in the past. What is it about that? Have you noticed something about Arkansas getting into Alabama a little bit more?
Well, I can't say I really do. I just know some of the guys that have committed, and they just really about some of the stuff. See, like Dallas, he committed like last year in December. So, and then TJ and all them. So when I talked to them, it was really much the same stuff. It's how Coach Pittman talked to us.
Have you gotten to talk to any of the guys on the offensive side of the ball? Maybe even Malachi, the guy who's going to be throwing you the ball in the future.
Yeah, I talked to him. Before I committed to public, I think Coach, I forgot his name, OC, the quarterback coach, I think he told him, and then he texted my phone like directly, like right after. So me and him talked a little bit about some of the stuff.
Anything you're willing to share from that conversation?
It was just like, it wasn't nothing really. It was just like him talking like welcoming me to the fam and all that stuff like that. And then we got a group chat about all the commits. That's really it.
I don't know if you've been able to notice too much of what's been going on with Arkansas recruiting before this, but they're bringing in 3 pretty big time tight ends, 2 guys ranked in the Rivals 250. have there been any discussions with you about how you and Micah are going to fit in with Luke, Shamar, and Jaden as just a receiving core?
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't even know. I don't know a lot of them because it's so many. It's so like we got like 25 commits. So I don't know everybody, but I think it's gonna be fun with all of us. We gonna get around stuff like that.
Yeah, covering it every day, I definitely feel you on how many there are in this class. I've just got one more here for you. You had a very impressive junior season last year: 51 catches, 830 yards, 12 touchdowns in 10 games. What are you looking for out of your last year at Moody, and kind of how do you hope to build yourself as you move into your freshman season at Arkansas?
Well, what I gotta do, I just gotta show more stuff on my film, like more stuff that I can do. Because last year I ain't do I couldn't. It wasn't my fault because we had a different OC and stuff last year. So it was the stuff that I did last year that was only like running deep balls, like stuff towards the sideline. I didn't really run a lot of stuff like and cross the middle and stuff like that. But with the new OC that we got, I can show that I can do all stuff like that.
So as far as that goes, I think the big question that a lot of our listeners, which includes a lot of Razorback fans, the big question they want to know is, what is Davion Dozier going to bring to Arkansas, and what can they expect to see out of you when you get to Fayetteville?
I'm bringing everything with me. I'm bringing all I can do. They're gonna get a top receiver out of me.
All right, man. I love it, Davion. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us, and we wish you the best of luck during your senior season, man.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.